authors, I'm Joanne Morrell, children's and young adult fiction writer and author of short non-fiction for authors. Thanks for joining me for the Hybrid Author podcast, sharing interviews from industry professionals to help you forge a career as a hybrid author, both independently and traditionally publishing your books. You can get the show notes for each episode and sign up for your free author pass over at the Hybrid Author website to discover your writing process, get tips on how to publish productively, and get comfortable promoting your books at www.hybridauthor.com.au. Let's crack on with the episode.
Authors! I hope you're all keeping well in whatever part of the world you reside and listen to the podcast in. Today's interview is with adult contemporary, historical fiction, middle grade and paranormal young adult author Sasha Wasley, and she's chatting to us on managing multiple pseudonyms. So in my author adventure this week, my children's fiction is still out on submission. And in non-fiction, I have been marketing my books via university library inquiries. And I have made my first audiobook sale. So things are slowly ticking along. Little bits are getting done here and there. And it's full steam ahead with my women's fiction books. If you're keen to catch up on this project's progression and other Hybrid Author news, you can head on over to the Hybrid Author website to sign up for your free author pass, where you'll begin to receive fortnightly newsletters and musings from me. In my caravan adventure, we're still in Perth. Honestly, I have no clue of what time is or anything at this point of how long we've sort of been here. I feel like it's probably a week. Feels like and has felt like we're never leaving and we're never going to hit the road or get away. But the caravan was to be ready on Monday. We picked it up yesterday. They had replaced the entire roof panel, which we really appreciate that our dealership has done right by us, and it should be bulletproof, weatherproof, and all sorts of proof now. And yeah, so we've got that back. We have spent all today packing it and getting it ready, and we're going to hit the road. Take 2, 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So by the time this goes out, I will hopefully be on my way on this kick off the caravan adventure again. We changed again plans. We had up north bookings, which we cancelled due to flooding. A crossing that we were hoping to get across, it flooded twice, but we've heard it's open again. So rather than going from down south, and going across diagonal, which we had spoke about, going from, if you're in Australia, you'll recognise these names. If not, you should visit these places. They're great. Kalgoorlie, which is a gold mining sort of town. I was really looking forward to going there. And we will hopefully hit it on the way back. But right now, we're just going to head straight to Karanjini, which, for those of you who don't know, it's a big national park here. It's got absolutely breathtaking gorges. It's a completely unpowered site, so it's really just red dirt and all that, no power. We've got our own power. Hopefully that works and everything works out well. So yeah, fingers crossed for me that the adventure begins after so much. But looking back at this, it really has been a bit of a blessing in disguise. We have been able to tick off all the things from setting off before heading down to Bustleton, having to return. The caravan's had a second overhaul. Lots of other things have been checked. All other little bits and pieces have been sorted. I also started homeschool this week, and that was a bit of an eye-opener, and I've been really feeling lucky that I've actually been doing the homeschool here in Perth at my parents' house rather than on the road. First day, the kids are really great. They're very happy to learn and get on with things. But the first day, having to sort of go between, because 2 kids, one sort of gets finished and then is waiting, and the other one, and that's been kind of hard. Then I have an online program, and it's kind of, the sheets that are on there, some of it wasn't showing online, and then they really need to have them in front of them to be able to, I feel, work on them better. So we've actually purchased like a small compact printer for the caravan, and it's also for work use as well, which is going to help. If they need these sheets, we can just print them on the go. So I feel like we're fully prepared now, and there's no stopping us.
Thorn Creative, where beautiful websites for authors are brought to life. No matter what stage you're at with your writing, Your stories deserve a dedicated space to shine. Whether you're just starting out or have a bookshelf full of bestsellers, your website is the hub of your author business, binding everything you and your books offer together. Thorn Creative can nurture all aspects of redesigning your old site or start afresh from the initial design. They can provide ongoing hosting and maintenance to marketing your books online, saving you time, money, and stress trying to wrangle your site yourself. An author website built by Thorn Creative can easily direct readers to your favorite retailers, your publisher, or simply set you up to sell to them direct. The options are endless. Thorn Creative have worked with many authors across all genres and know what goes into good, functional working author websites to sell books. Head on over to thorncreative.com.au/websites for authors to read author and publisher testimonials and to see what they offer and some of the sites they've created. Sasha Wasley was born and raised in Perth, Western Australia, Wujik Noongar land. She holds a PhD in feminist literature and loves nature, Jane Austen, and puns. Sasha is an advocate for literacy and creativity and runs writing workshops for children and adults whenever she can. She is a WA ambassador for Books in Homes Australia charity, promoting early book ownership for life success. Welcome to the Hybrid Author Podcast, Sasha.
Thank you so much, Jo. I'm so excited to be here.
We are really excited to have you, so thank you for joining us. Can you tell us, how did you come to join the writing industry?
I've always been a writer from the time I was a kid. I wrote my first novel-length book when I was 14, so I've kind of always wanted to be an author. But it took me quite a long time to actually get there. I didn't really get the encouragement that I needed, mainly in the partnership that I was in, the marital partnership, and I was sort of encouraged to get a job and have a real income. And not being a particularly strong, confident person at that time, I just went, oh, okay, yeah, that's fair enough. That's what I should just do. So I put aside the writing. It was just a hobby. It was just, writing fiction was a hobby, but writing nonfiction, i.e. copywriting, was a job. So that didn't leave me an awful lot of creativity at the end of the day. I was pretty exhausted from writing at that point. But due to various circumstance changes in my life, I did start writing fiction again and eventually, finally got published. And the way I got published was, rather than what I expected, which was to instantly be picked up in a massive bidding war between the big five publishers and be renowned for literary fiction, which would, of course, land me the laureate position across the world. That didn't happen, surprisingly. So I decided that I would lower my expectations a little and try some publishers that even I hadn't heard of. So I actually went overseas and found a couple of small digital publishers to pitch to. And one of them picked up my first book, which was a young adult paranormal. And that was my first taste of being a published author. And I was hooked immediately. So that happened in 2015. So that's 8 years ago now. And I never looked back. Basically, I decided this is what I want and this is what I have always wanted. And now I'm going to make it happen. So I worked really, really hard. And I'll kind of go into a little bit more about that shortly.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I take it, were you an avid reader that you were like, oh, I'll just love the stories and, I'm going to write one day?
Absolutely. I was always a huge reader, to the point where I would basically thieve books off my sister's bookshelf. She was older than me, so she had a job, which meant she had income, but she also had a sneaky way of borrowing books that never made it back to the library. I don't know, maybe I could have a family of thieves or something, but I would then go into her room. She was my own personal library, and I'd go into her room. And she had the ambition to be a librarian, so everything was organised in the Dewey Decimal System. So I read all her books, a lot of them very inappropriate for my age.
Were they young adult, like what you...
No,
right? No,
they were
adults. Mills and Boons, like my mum has stole hers.
No, there were some of those. My mum had a good collection of mystery, Agatha Christie, sort of risque, what was her name, Jackie Collins, a lot of that kind of stuff. But my sister had a lot of really quite eclectic. She was high fantasy, science fiction, but stuff that was kind of way over my head, but I read it anyway. And that's possibly why I can't constrain myself to one genre today.
Yeah.
Eclectic, upbringing on books.
That's amazing. Well,
we are talking about pseudonyms today because, as far as I'm concerned, you're the pseudonym queen. So you currently have 16 published novels in the world and 3 pseudonyms, writing adult contemporary and historical fiction under Sasha Wasley, middle grade fiction under Ash Harrier, and paranormal and young adult novels as SD Wasley. Tell us about your working schedule. What is it like having 3 pseudonyms, and how the heck do you manage them all, being a mum as well as everything else? I'm amazed.
I don't know. No, look, okay. So the SD Wasley, the young adult paranormal pen name, is not retired, but it's kind of on hiatus. I haven't written anything in that realm for a couple of years now. I'm sort of focusing more on the Sasha Wasley name and the Ash Harrier name because I really love having books in print. To me, that's what I always wanted. I wanted to be selling books in stores and doing events and being an author, having that kind of feeling, that sense of being an author, which to me didn't really come until I had books in print. And I know that's different for everybody, but it is a lot more challenging than I thought it would be. I'm a really fast writer, and for the last few years I've been writing hard and fast, but having these kind of deadlines with the 2 competing pen names now is a lot more challenging than I thought it would be.
When you say fast writer, like how many words do you knock out, or even how many books?
I probably would measure it because I'm not very regular. I tend to pour out like 5,000 to 10,000 words a day, and then another day I'll do none. So yeah, I'm kind of up and down, but I can certainly write 2 or 3 books a year, which I know for a lot of self-published authors is nothing. Yeah. But I feel like that's something.
It's something. It absolutely is.
So yeah, I'll generally write 1 or 2 adult books a year and 1 or 2 kids books a year as well. So probably 3 to 4 books a year.
Yeah, that's incredible. So obviously, how is it working then with like you're saying, the 2 pseudonyms kind of competing against each other? Are you finding, I guess, is it up to the publisher? Or are you trying to space one out at the start of the year, one at the end, or is it just
I'm trying to be smarter than I was before. So I've got 2 different publishers. It's the same publishing house, 2 different publishers,
right?
Sort of editors who work with me on the adult stuff and on the kids stuff. So I'm trying to kind of read their minds and go, all right, when is it likely that they're going to come back to me with structural edits and then copy edit, and when's my next deadline going to be to submit something? So yeah, I work with them, I talk to them, but I also try and work out roughly when things are going to be happening and make sure that I've got enough time. But this year I did have to say to myself, all right, realistically, last year and the year before, instead of writing my next book, which should come out sort of 2024 in the historical fiction vein, which I had wanted to shift gears and move towards that, I wrote a contemporary. Now, I haven't even sent that to my publisher because I know it's not right for where that particular part of my brand is going. So when she kind of said, all right, can you write a historical for next year? For the first time, I had to say, you know what, realistically, I don't think I could do it credit because historical takes a lot of research. So I said to her, I can, if you really, really want me to, but I feel like to do it proper credit, or justice is the word, sorry, to do it justice, I really need probably that extra 6 months to a year. And she said, no, do it justice, just make it 2025. And that was actually a really tough call for me to make because then, of course, it impacts my income and, the fact that I don't get that advance or, the other parts of the money coming through. Yeah, so it was a tough call. I really had to soul search for it.
Yeah, I bet. But it's good that, you're honest, you're true to the work and not just, I'll do it and then overloading yourself. Yeah. You can tell what you can and can't do, which is good. And that's probably why you can juggle so much. But I did notice, so your pseudonyms, you're all in the one place. Is that right? And your website, you've got, that's where they can find them, these books. Did you at any point have separate kind of websites for your different pseudonyms and different social handles and things? Or did you always think, no, everything has to be in the one place?
Yeah, I have to admit, for the first change of pseudonym, so SD Wasley over to Sasha Wasley, fell into it by accident. So I selected SD Wasley for the simple and very arbitrary reason that there was another Sasha at the publishing house that I'd been picked up by, and I didn't want people to mix this up. So I decided that I was going to go with SD Wasley. And And then when I signed with Penguin and it was a rural romance, the publisher said to me, are you really set on having SD Wasley? Because Sasha is a really pretty name. It would look nice on the cover of a romance story. And I, being a total numpty and new to the whole industry, I just went, okay, yeah, that's cool. And looking back, that's actually not a bad idea. I quite like having that Sasha name now. And I feel like that's kind of my main publishing name. It's also my real name, which does cause a few little issues. Yeah, not so much privacy, because I think I probably would have gone with Sasha anyway, because it's hard to have a different name that people refer to you by. But possibly I would have used a different last name.
It's quite unique. I wouldn't imagine there's too many Sasha Wasleys out there.
Yeah. And it's not like I have people running up to me in the street going, oh my God, are you Sasha Wasley?
Yeah.
Or anything like that. It's more that yes. It's actually more that I would like to have a name that is more in the middle of the alphabet. Because where your books sit on bookshelves is actually quite important. So if I could go back, I'd probably use something that was more in the middle of the alphabet, because then you're not stuck right at the end of the literary festival program, or you're not sitting right down at the bottom of the bookshelf or in the library bookshelf. So I possibly would have gone for something more in the middle, which is how I came to choose Ash Harrier for my middle grade books. So I went, all right, I really want to be smack bang in the middle of the alphabet for my last name, and kind of at the beginning for my first name, because often in a literary festival program, they'll put you by your first name. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to cover both bases.
Good on you. That's clever thinking.
I don't know. Look, I don't know if it has been. It's been as strategic as a potato, I like to think.
Well, I run my local book club and when I don't know how they do it at the libraries, but when they give you a list of what books you're allowed to choose from for the book club, and it's just a group of 10 women, that's all you're allowed, it's books in a bag. I get sick of starting from the top, so I occasionally do start from the bottom and work my way up. So
thank goodness for you.
Yeah, being found or chosen by us.
I always say that, apart from that kind of thing happening, which is a huge bonus, it's basically David Winton and Pip Williams who keep my writing career alive, because people go looking for them and they find me.
That's good. That's a good point to think of as well. So, as well as your pseudonyms, obviously the names being different and the genres being quite different, have you come up with any challenges, like with having them all under the one umbrella, especially for the children's, I suppose? Were you concerned about that in any regard?
Yeah, I guess one of the challenges, and this answers the question you asked me a minute ago that I completely forgot to answer about the website, and the social handles, is managing it all. So yeah, I didn't want to have 15 different social handles, and I already am not a huge lover of getting online and marketing myself. I don't love that. That's actually why I shifted away really from self-publishing and more towards being traditionally published. So I went, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to have one social handle for Ash Harrier, and then the 2 for Sasha Wasley, and they can be combined with SD Wasley. So really I've only got the 3 to worry about. The 2 on Insta, 1 on Facebook, and then 1 on Twitter. And then for the websites, I did have 3. I kept this Sasha Wasley website, but I've incorporated SD Wasley into that now, which I think makes sense. The names are quite similar and people will usually find me if they need to. Ash Harrier, I felt like it really did need a website of its own, because I didn't want kids coming to my Sasha Wasley website and getting confused and not understanding what was going on. So I had my own website for that, but I linked to it from my other website.
Right.
Other challenges, I guess, when you go out into the book world, a lot of the time people don't realize that you have those 2 identities, that you're a double agent. So you have to kind of really come out and tell them, otherwise they won't know, and they think either, like for Ash Harrier, they often think that I'm a total newbie rather than someone who has been in the industry for a few years and sort of knows a bit. So I have to then let them know that I'm also Sasha Wasley, and then they don't know what to call me. So there's a few little kind of hiccups here and there. Yeah, I guess the main thing is having to do the double introduction. So I'll go out to a bookshop, and rather than just say, hi, I'm Sasha Wasley, thank you so much for stocking my books, at which point they'll then often say, would you like to sign a few? Welcome, which is great. And we do rely on that. I then have to say, oh, I'm also Ash Harrier. So that's kind of that additional awkward introduction. But, I guess it's a small price to pay, and I did choose it myself, so I have to own it.
Yeah, I've got to say, I have saw you about at various book events. I think maybe, what's the one that they have at the Rockingham Writers a few years back? Were you at that? Like many years back, were you
Oh, yes, the
presenting?
Bookingham Writers Convention. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yes.
think I went to one of your sessions or
Yeah.
and so I've known you in that capacity. I did not know you were the author of Ash Harrier, and then I saw you present at CBCA and I was like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's exactly
yeah.
what happened. Yeah.
But that's all right. But I have seen the Ash Harrier books around, and they're quite known to me because I think it was Kelly Canby that done the illustrations.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of them as well. But yeah, it was good. It's
good.
almost like a surprise, though. It was like, oh, a good surprise.
Yeah, it's a good talking point actually, and kids love to hear about it when you go in and you talk to kids at school and you say, "Hi, I'm Ash Harrier, but that's not my real name." They're always really intrigued by that, and they kind of first question, "Are you allowed to pick your own name?" You can just see them picking their own names out for their future authoring.
Oh, that is absolutely gorgeous. I love that. So, well, yeah, to be honest, the hybrid author has kind of grown for me out of having two identities. So, your story just, I'm so interested because I started out writing children's and YA fiction, did not plan at all to write non-fiction books. And just from going out from uni and setting up freelance writing and chasing an authorship career and sort of, dealing with, I call them author fears, but like self-doubt and fears of being judged and all this stuff. I have a couple of non-fiction books that came out from these experiences, which I have just self-published because I didn't plan on it. So I thought, I'd rather just put these out myself, but I'm still going down the traditional route for the children's. And I did set to do them separately. And I just don't have the time. I don't have the time to be in two places at once. I found it really difficult and stressful. I thought, well, what do I have in common here? Is obviously I'm chasing traditional publishing and I'm self-publishing. I say it makes me a hybrid author. So here we are.
Yeah.
And I keep everything in the one place, and it's just an easy way for me to navigate and manage what I'm trying to do work-wise. But I love that you write across the board and you're not sort of restricted to kind of one thing. But does your publishers want the next book from you as a certain pseudonym? Are they, sort of chomping a bit down there? It sounds like you've not got free reign, but you're sort of like, oh, maybe this year.
Well, I guess they have to help me manage my brand, and that's something that they're good at. I really love my publisher, and I'm lucky enough that they've been willing to follow me genre-wise, understanding that I am not someone who comfortably sits within one genre. However, what they have kind of picked up is that a lot of my books will appeal to a certain readership. So even if I'm writing contemporary and then I'm writing historical and some of it's romantic and some of it has romantic elements and there's a little bit of mystery in some of it, that's okay because they can see where I'm writing and that my readership is kind of the same women and it's also kind of the same voice that's speaking. Yeah. So they've been really supportive in that way. Then with the middle grade, they were completely comfortable for me to choose a pen name. They had no opinion really either way. They could see both perspectives. The one opportunity with keeping my Sasha Wasley name was, of course, that I could write on the readership I've already got. But it did concern me a little bit that kids might go looking at my adult books. Not that there's anything deeply inappropriate for them in there, but I just sort of thought, why don't I just start fresh and give this other name a go and, just see what happens with it. So a lot of my business decisions are quite experimental. I kind of go, all right, what's going to happen? Just give it a go and see.
Yeah. Well, I think that's business, isn't it? I think see what tries, what works, what fails, and keep putting yourself out there, which is great. So did you pitch to the publisher, say, I have this children's idea, I want to, and you pitched to somebody else in that house?
Yes. It's a bit strange, actually, because years ago I wrote a young adult version of the Alice England book. So that's my children's one. And I sent it to Pantera Press, who are my publisher, and they did get back to me and said, would you consider a rewrite? Because we feel like this doesn't really sit in either young adult or adult. There's too much crossover between the two. So would you like to choose one and rewrite it for that? And at the time, I'd already been picked up by a digital publisher in the US. So I'd said, thank you. I really do appreciate that feedback, but I'm going to give it a shot over here. I've already got a contract now. So I went with that. That publisher then went bust about a year after the book came out. So I took my rights back, and then by then I had signed with Pantera for my adult books. So I came back to them and I said, look, you guys were interested in this a few years ago. I'm still really passionate about this character. I feel like she's just got something and I can't let her go. So they said, I spoke to Lucy Bell, who is really good with children's books, and she's actually an author in her own right. She's the one who'd given me the original feedback, and she said, would you consider rewriting it for middle grade? Because we are actively seeking a middle grade at the moment.
Wow.
And at first I thought, oh, I really don't think I could make this work. But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. I thought, actually, this character is perfect for middle grade. She's got the quirkiness, she's got the raw honesty, and it's got the kind of humor that kids love. So I, first of all, I thought, shall I rewrite the book? And then I realized it was completely wrong book for kids. It had all political intrigue and all of this. So I just completely wrote a new story with Alice aged down. And Lucy and I went back and forth with it a couple of times. I did a few more changes, and then she took it to acquisitions and they offered me the 3-book contract, which is amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing.
I pitched it myself, yes.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. What a story. Congratulations. It's so good. Well, it sounds like you're doing an amazing job all around with the pseudonyms. So do you have any, tips or advice to authors who are who obviously have lots of ideas in lots of areas and looking to maybe set up pseudonyms and try and juggle them as well as what you are? Do you have any do's or don'ts?
Well, I would say do not decide to do what I did just because I did. Don't go, oh, Sasha did it, so that must be right. Because whatever you do has got to be right for you. I see someone like Jackie French. She's amazing. She just combines all her different genres under the one name, and I think that's incredible. I kind of wish that I could do that, maybe one day I will just bring it all back under Sasha Wasley. Who knows? Because you can, you sort of think once you've decided that you're stuck with it, but you're not necessarily stuck with anything. I would try and think really hard about the reasons why. If you are going to choose a pseudonym, I would suggest that you stick with something that is very similar to your actual real first name, or keep your first real name, because it can get confusing when you're out at a festival and someone's calling Ash across the across the green room, and you're like, huh? Oh, that's me. If you're going to switch names around, then maybe go with your last name. Do have a think about where you're going to sit on the shelf. That is a consideration. I don't know, maybe it's not as big a consideration as I think it is, but when I go into a bookshop, I like to see my books front row center.
Yeah.
And I don't like to have to move them myself. Yeah. So I guess they'd be the main tips. Think about where you are in the alphabet. Think about the pronounceability of your name, what your name says about you. If you're an own voices writer, then maybe keep that name that speaks to that. There's a whole bunch of considerations there. They're just a few of them.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing those. That is great. And you don't really think about, I guess, like where you sit in the alphabet and things, I think. So
I do.
So that's really good. As you're saying it, I was just thinking, because I've got another, I write children's fiction under J.Z. Morrell. Morrell is actually my maiden name, because I don't use my married name because no one can actually pronounce it. And Z.E. is the initials, like J is the first name, Z.E. is the initials of the middle name. My nonfiction is Joanne Morrell, which was my name before marriage. And there's another pseudonym that I'm planning on putting out, which is my middle names said out loud. But again, it said, like yourself, it sort of sets me right at the front. So yay! But it wouldn't be Joanne, it would be something different, So so it's definitely something to think about, which is great.
I would love to hear what someone like Nora Roberts thinks about the use of pseudonyms. Someone who's huge.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear their feedback on why they chose it and strategically how it's worked for them.
Yeah, maybe we'll have her on.
Yeah, go on. Her or J.K. Rowling, either's fine.
I actually have approached J.K. Rowling. I did. I thought, what the hell? But I think it was last year, and her agent was saying that very nice letter back. It was probably just, she's not taking media things at this time. She probably just doesn't. She just doesn't have to. So, but you never know. I mean, she lives in Scotland. I grew up there, so I was like, hey.
Oh yes, of course. And you share a first name.
And I was chatting to someone else, and her name came up because she obviously sold the print rights for Harry Potter, but she controls the digital rights. I don't know about audio, but she has the ebook rights. So she is hybrid. I was like, ooh,
wow. I did not realize that.
Yeah, her site that has Pottermore or whatever is worth millions, and that's hers. I know. Yeah, pretty clever.
Yeah.
No, well, it sounds like, you're having such a good fun and amazing experiences in the traditional publishing world, and, you love the print and stuff, but you said you had self-published before, which makes you a hybrid author in my eyes. Do you plan on keep doing both throughout your career, or is there things that you think, this is probably out of the box, my publisher won't like, I'm going to put it out there again, or never say never?
Yeah, look, that's the thing. It is a bonus to have that name. Oh, well, I can use I can use any of my names for self-publishing if I wanted to, but I haven't closed the door on self-publishing because little things just continue to have a life of their own. It's a surprise. I just got an email the other day from a teacher in Missouri who said that his class is reading Totally Star-Crossed, which was my Romeo and Juliet reworking for a modern day, published as S.D. Wasley by myself, and I just about fell over. I couldn't believe it. A class
That's amazing.
That.
Yeah,
that was amazing. I'm also looking at adapting it for podcast at the moment, so that's something that I'm kind of doing with an audiobook narrator, just on my own, not with a publisher. So in a way, I am still working in that self-publishing field, but maybe looking a little differently at it. I'm not now kind of trying to crank out novels and put them out and trying to make money off them, because I just have found that I've never made any money off those books. And I don't know why that is. I think it's possibly because I don't love the marketing side of it and the sales side of it. So I've never tried to do anything like with Amazon ads or anything like that.
Yeah.
I would be kind of curious if I had the time to delve into that and see if I could make any money out of it, but I haven't in the past. So I kind of put my eggs in the basket where the money's coming from.
Yeah. You should pay
your mortgage. So.
Yeah. Have you found out how this class has come across that book that they're reading?
I need to ask that.
Yeah,
That's
you should.
Really great. Yeah, I imagine they just Googled modern reworking of Romeo and Juliet. She's probably trying to teach them Romeo and Juliet and trying to look for a pain-free way into the book, into the play. That will appeal to teenagers.
Yeah, but that's amazing. And I love how, you're talking about other content that you're producing yourself in different ways. I just think that's all really exciting. So no, that's good to know you're still dipping your toes in elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm such an adventurer. I just love trying new things, and I love writing across different genres. So I've tried to contain the brain, but it won't be contained.
Yeah. No, I think that's fantastic. And I just love your story because it breaks down so much of what I don't know about any other authors. Sometimes what we're told sometimes as aspiring authors, like, especially from publishing houses, they only want you for this thing, which sometimes obviously might not be the case, and just all sorts of things. So it's just really great that it's working well for you. But please, can you tell us, where can our listeners discover all of your books and pseudonyms and, on and offline? Yeah,
well, the best place to go is sashawasley.com, SASHAWASLEY.com. That's got all 3 author brands on there and all my books, so you'll find everything there.
Oh, well, thank you so much for your time, Sasha. It was absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much. I've been delighted to join you.
So there you have it, folks, the truly sensational Sasha Wasley on managing multiple pseudonyms. And I got some fabulous tips from this episode and from Sasha. I hope those of you looking to write in more than one genre and put yourself out there under a bunch of different names did too, as it can get tricky and, confusing. And if you're super busy and all the rest, it can get overwhelming as well. So I hope you take Sasha's advice on, and of course, check out her amazing books. They're fantastic. Next time on the Hybrid Author Podcast, we have Polly Holmes chatting to us on writing paranormal and culinary cozy mysteries. So looking forward to chatting with Polly. I wish you well in your author adventure this next week. That's it from me. Bye for now.
That's the end for now, authors. I hope you are further forward in your author adventure after listening, and I hope you'll listen next time. Remember to head on over to the Hybrid Author website at www.hybridauthor.com.au to get your free author pass. It's bye for now.